I have created this basic sculpt of the model I want to create, and I'm going to start building my polygons on top of it. So I made the image planes transparent so they can be in front of the model. So I do not need to always have my model on X-ray to see my image planes. So instead of behind, the image planes are in front. Okay, let's get started and make a new model. This is a sculpt. I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to build a new model starting with add a mesh plane. That is totally wrong right there. It needs to be rotated to face the camera, and it should probably be much smaller, even smaller than that. Something like this maybe. That's going to be my plane. I'm going to rename it Polybuild as opposed to the sculpt that's underneath. And I'm going to go into edit mode. To do that, I'm actually going to switch to the modeling workspace, which gives me just a little bit more screen space to work with. Hitting 1 to get into front view. Now I'm going to do symmetrical modeling, so I want 2 sides of it. This polygon is nicely in the center, but I only want half of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut the polygon in half. Select the half I will not be using and get rid of that half. So now I have one polygon exactly on X is 0. I'm grabbing this plane I have here and I'm going to move it up, and it disappears because I'm not seeing through it. So I move it up. I'm going to even scale it down a little, probably just taking the top points, bringing them down, G, Z, to bring those down a little. I'm going to start at the tip of the nose for fun. G, Z, taking the sides and doing G, X to bring that in. So we have our basic polygon. I'm trying to keep the center point exactly on X is 0. That's not going to work all the time, so we need to adjust it at the end. But for starters, this is fine. I can immediately throw on, if I want to, my mirror modifier. Generate mirror. So it has 2 sides to it. It's currently right smack in the middle of his face. That's not a good idea. So I'm going to go into polygon mode or face mode and bring it out. G, Y, push it forward so it's just in front of the nose. A little bit more. And now I want to actually have it snap to the sculpt. Something is off here. Let's check that. Something was off. My sculpt had slightly moved. It's back on 0 now. So this polygon, which is not exactly mirroring because it's apparently not exactly on 0 anymore. Let's check that one. No, it's not. I moved it by accident. So these points should be, hit N to get the menu, exactly on 0, just like the point out here. Okay, so we got our first polygon, but what we want to do with it is model it on top of the original shape. So we're going to snap the points to that surface. So I'm going to turn on snap, and I'm going to tell it to snap to face project. So it's going to project onto the nearest face. If I now, for instance, in tweak mode, take this point and wiggle it about, you see it immediately snaps to the underlying geometry. These points I also going to grab, but oops, I had to move them a little. I'm going to just move in Y so they stay on axis 0. And they should also snap to the shape. It moved anyway. So let's just go into Polybuild mode right now and drag them to where they need to be. It's not going to be exactly on 0, but we'll fix that later. But you see it conforms to the underlying sculpt. Now I'm going to build my cages, and I'm not going to use polygons that are too small because you can easily insert extra edge loops. I'm just going to go in and drag out some nice polygons to build the nose at first. And I'm doing all this in the Polybuild tool, which is way faster than doing it manually by extruding every face separately. There we go. Get a nice thing going. And I actually want to turn on X so I don't accidentally pull stuff off of X to 0. Okay, so we got a basic nose thing going on. Probably one more down here. Since I have the sculpt, I don't need to look at my reference images that much because that should match most of the time. Now, the next thing I'm going to build is a loop around the eyes. And I'm going to build it pretty big because it's pretty easy to add subdivisions later. So let's say I'm going to go in and let's take this one as the center and pull this out all the way to where the eye should be. Let's look at my image. Oh, it's actually down there on the image. There we go. Let's also briefly look at the side view to see if it's any good. And don't match exactly, but somewhere here. Okay. So from here, I'm going to go and build a huge circle around the eye. This can actually snap here. If we want to make sure that it sticks together, we're going to go into the tool settings and turn on auto merge with a proper threshold depending. The threshold is really depending on how big your model is. This seems to be fine for this particular model. And you want to create a thing that sort of fans out like this. And snap it back in there. Don't worry too much about how much subdivisions. We're going to adjust that as we go. So this is going to be way too rough for what we actually need. So we might want to immediately throw in an extra subdivision that will not automatically, it will automatically conform to the underlying surface. So you can throw a few more in there later, but this is okay for starters. So we have our eye loop. Next thing up is the mouth loop. So I'm going to go back into my Polybuild tool and pull out some edges down here. I can actually do it in front view so I can see what I'm doing relative to the reference image. And again, we're not going to be too detailed yet. Very rough. We can easily insert extra edge loops later. This photograph has a mouth closed. I'm going to model it with slightly open mouth to be able to build an inside of the mouth. So I actually don't need all three yet, but I've got three here now. So let's go around and build a nice mouth loop. Same thing as with the eye, basically going around in a nice circle. And it should sort of fan out like a web. There we go. And we should have a few more around it. Several ways to do that. You can just grab it and start building more. I could also have just made a really big one and then put subdivisions in as I did with the eye, which might actually have been faster. And because auto merge is on, I can just grab it, extrude it, bring it close to where the other point is, and it will just snap there. You see, and because it conforms to the underlying sculpt because the face project is on, the face project snapping. Next thing up, probably, well, we need a few things. We need something to go around the nose. Probably from here, start building a line that sort of comes from the nose and builds following this, following the curve next to the mouth. Would help if these have sort of the same subdivisions here, but we can add more later. So this is another edge loop that is pretty important to get right. Next up is the chin. We're going to have build a edge loop around the jawline. Now this person, who you might know as Al Capone, does not have much of a jawline, but we're still going to build one. So I'm going to go in here. If you can't really grab the edge, you have to just zoom in and get closer. That makes it a lot easier. Pretty big polygon again, because we're going to subdivide it later if we want. Go out here. This can still snap in there, but now we have to probably let go of that and start, oops, start pulling out a jawline out here. And let's look at the side image. It's sort of okay. Where's his jawline? That's kind of arbitrary on this image, but it's sort of, oh, go back. Sort of out here, I would guess. And we're going to go up. So we end up in front of the ear. Sort of like this. The ear is always a lot of work because there's a lot of detail to it. Like this. There we go. So we're starting to see sort of a cage like this. It should go all the way up. Zoom in a little. And those can be pretty big. Polygons will make them smaller later if we need to. And goes all the way to the top there. Don't start making too small polygons because you can always add more later. We can now connect this here, going back out to that. That doesn't quite connect nicely, does it? Well, we have to pick something. We can move them about later if we want to. I can't really grab the edge. I have to zoom in. There we go. And this should actually go over the ear. So I don't have the proper subdivisions, but we can pop it in there and then just move it about. And then we'll notice that we do not have enough subdivision from the ear. Maybe, well, it's not too bad. So this goes around and it goes actually over the ear. And now we need this to snap behind the ear, not in front of the ear. Oh, that's the wrong point. This one needs to snap behind the ear. Oh, grabbing the wrong one. There. That's behind the ear. Yes. Oh. And it just snapped to the wrong side, so it needs to snap out there. Come on. Boop. There we go. So now it's going behind the ear. And this is going to be going around. Oh, I might want to turn off X-ray so I don't accidentally select the things on the other side. You see how it goes behind the ear, over the ear. And I'm going to pull one more out, and then probably one more out here. So sort of in the center. So now I have a cage. Oh, there's one point that went completely berserk. Oops, where is it? This one. What should it be? Oh, that should be all the way over there. Beep. Bring it back. There we go. So my image planes keep getting in the way a little. You see, that's the image plane. So what I'm going to do, leave edit mode for a second, because then otherwise you can't select anything. And take my images and make sure they are only visible in orthographic view. So now in my perspective view, I no longer see them, but as soon as I go into my orthographics, I do still see the images. Okay, select Polybuild again, go into my into edit mode, and you see how this a cage is starting to form. So the next big thing is to take this one, take this edge, and start pulling it over the head. It can get pretty big. Oop, now I messed up because I got two over here. And this can actually snap right into the one that comes up from this from the side. We'll fix the seam later. And it continues over the head, down the other side. And I'm going to turn off X-ray again because otherwise I'll keep grabbing the ones on the other side. It's a bit harder to see your polygons. Zoom in a little. There we go. We need one more, it seems. And this can connect up to here now. And we pull these to the center. Let's go back into, so we can sort of see where the other half. Oh, I sort of went off kilter. I should have been in the center and I'm not, so I'm going to delete that last little bit. And oh, I also pull the point. Completely wrong again. Let's pull that back. Where should that point be? This one came all the way from the front. It should be up here. There we go. So I went off the center a little. So I'm going to correct that. Leave X-ray so I don't accidentally pull points on the other side. This should all be out here. That's more like the center. I can, of course, go into my back view. Oh, there we go. And make sure I'm exactly on the center. These got a little bit too wide now, so I'm going to pull them back here. And it probably connects up here now to the other one, and then make this go down like this. That's more like it. Turning on X-ray again to see what I'm actually doing. So a little bit of a gap, but not too bad. Okay, so now I have a edge going over the head. It really starts to form a cage. This one just keeps continuing going down all the way to the edge of the, going over the center by accident, all the way to the bottom. Let's see, oh, we're there basically. Okay, so I just built this whole cage going around like this. Now I'm going to go and pull out this edge. I can even do it in side view if I want. And make sure that we have an edge going around like this, around the neck. Should probably be properly on the sculpt. Let's see where it goes. It should go out here. In 3D. Oh, that's not quite in 3D. That doesn't quite work because I was off the sculpt. And this should now go to, let's go into front view, into the center. Oh, there's something here that's completely off center as well. So we've got an edge on the bottom of the neck, which should, of course, connect here. This looks kind of distorted. There we go. So this then connects to the front of the neck. Boop, boop. So what we have now, if you look at the whole shape, I'm going to leave edit mode for a second and turn off my sculpt and turn off X-ray. And you see I have sort of the basic cage of my object, of my face already there. This is the basis for the head surface. Next up, we'll be filling in those gaps, but I'll do that in a next video.